Hello, everybody. It's that college football guy. It's Bill here to do part 4 of the schedule prediction videos for the ACC. Yeah, they're still coming. There's actually going to be 2 today. This one's going to come out early today, probably 9, 10, 11ish, somewhere around there. And the other one's going to be in the afternoon. But that will be there. And then tomorrow is subscriber roll call. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the three schools we're talking about today for this scheduled preview. We're talking about SMU, Stanford, and Syracuse. How is it going to go for these schools this year? All right, well, first off, let's get to the first one. Let's talk about SMU. Coming fresh off from the American, 11-3 last year, won the AAC, beat Tulane, lost to Boston College in the Fenway Bowl this year. Rhett Lashley comes in. He's having his third season. He's 18-9 in 2 years at SMU. The question is how will he and the team handle the step up in competition? This is going to be a very interesting situation for them. Now, their QB, Preston Stone, is back. I mean, he threw for 28 touchdowns and 6 INTs last year. He can go. The wide receiver room is good. The running back room is solid, as is the offensive line room. Basically, the offense, I mean, there was a little bit of turnover, but the fact is even with the move from the AC to the ACC, say that 5 times fast, has been a bit of an issue, but they're bringing things on there, so it's on there. The defense, however, it caused problems. It did cause a lot of problems and disruption at the G5 level in the American. Can they cause that problem in the ACC? The defensive line, if I can talk about it, has playmakers on there. How can they handle the step up? We'll see. Linebacker room's in great shape. However, the secondary, is not as anywhere good as the rest of the defense. The additions they made with the transfer portal will determine how well this team goes and how well the chemistry goes. So that's going to be a bit of an issue for them. Hopefully, it can do better. Now, shall we get into the schedule? All right, starting off with SMU, has a week 0 game at Nevada. Yeah, you're going to beat Nevada. Nevada's just not a good team. You're at home against Houston Christian FCS. You're going to beat them as well. Now you're on the road in Nevada, week 0, week 1 home against Houston Christian. Now you're at home against BYU. BYU travels a little bit east, but that's nothing unusual for them. They've done that. But the problem is that for BYU, Keaton Slovis isn't there anymore. Now it's Baylor transfer quarterback Jerry Bohannon. Can he step up and help have that offense match SMU's offense? And BYU has some issues of their own. And I'm thinking BYU travels. This was a pick'em game for me. This was close for me because SMU is going to be somewhat good and BYU is elevating up, but they're having a transition. It's early in the year, so you're going to catch BYU early, and that's exactly what you do. You catch BYU early and you beat them at home. So you're 3-0 going into your first bye. Home against TCU. You lost by 17 on the road last year. TCU is used to this competition. You're not. And even though you had a somewhat easy part, TCU is going to beat you again. Because I'm thinking part of this is the fact that you're maybe panic mode a little bit because who's your next game? This is the toughest 3-game stretch of any part of SMU's schedule. And they've got a bye sandwiched in between. You're home against TCU. You stay at home against Florida State. You have no shot. I'm sorry. If you watched Florida State, I think, was in the part 2 video. You've got no shot at beating them. You get a loss there. You're on the road at Louisville. You got to travel a little bit to Louisville, Kentucky. I covered that in part 2 as well. You're not beating Louisville. Then you get another bye. Because remember, you had week 0, so you had 3 byes. There's 2 byes for everybody this year, 3 byes if you have a week 0 game. You come on the road and travel at Stanford. Even though you've had the bye week to prepare for Stanford, I think because you got beat up, and I mean beat up against TCU, Florida State, and Louisville, that is going to be a major problem for you. You're going to get hurt, and depth, it can be an issue here, and I'm going to pick Stanford to beat you. You don't like that, but you're on the road in San Francisco. Lose here. Now you're on the road at Duke. I covered Duke in part 1. If you watch the video, you're losing to Duke because it's just the way it goes. Home against Pitt. I covered Pitt in part 3. If you watched that game, watch that video. You'll see that I had you beating Pitt. Now you got another bye. You're home against Boston College. I covered them in part one, I believe. Coming out of the bye, you got time to prepare. You're going to beat Boston College. Then you're on the road at Virginia. Now, both teams have a bye the week prior. So for me, this is a coin flip between you and Virginia. Virginia's going to be a little bit better than what they were, but you're coming in. And I thought, who's going to win this game? You're on the road in Virginia. You're not used to the environment. You're going to lose to Virginia. And then you're home against Cal. Cal travels to Texas after they've been beat up all year. You have better depth than Cal does, and you're going to beat Cal. I covered that in part one of the videos here. So what does it end up being? Well, SMU is 6-6 in your first year in the ACC. Not bad. Not great, but all things considered, not bad. Now we go to the Stanford Cardinal. Oh boy, 3-9 last year. I don't know. Did I mention? I forgot to mention this here. SMU's Vegas win total was 7.5 prediction. I got them going less than that. The reason I bring that up, Stanford, who went 3-9 last year, coming into the ACC, their Vegas win total is 3.5. They're not expected to do anything this year. I mean, Troy Taylor comes in from Sacramento State last season. They go 3-9 his first year. He had better talent at Sacramento State. There's the reason why Sacramento State beat them last year. Ashton Daniels is back at QB. Can he continue to improve for them? The running back room, it's something to be desired. I'm sorry. It really needs to improve quickly if they're going to have any shot at doing anything. The wide receiver room, unfortunately, does not have much depth. And that's the handcuffs of the academics they have there. The offensive line, which had a tendency to leak like a sieve, at least all 5 starters are back, so they're experienced. They have cohesion together. They have time together, so that's going to help you in that aspect. But unfortunately, your defensive, but that's going to be a problem for you. Defensively, defensive line, you have some players, but not very much depth, and that's going to be a problem. You get hurt, it's going to really hurt you later in the year. Linebacker room is solid. You actually have some decent depth there. The DB room, the defensive backs, they got blown up last year, mainly because of the fact that there was 0 pass rush. So the pass rush develops, the secondary will have time to develop. If it doesn't, they're going to get thrown on over the top all day long because they're not going to be ready for it. They're a little bit young, but in key spots, but I think they're going to be, they need help from the pass rush to develop. It's a work in progress in the secondary. So let's look at the Stanford schedule, shall we? First game at home against TCU. There were some people out there who have made predictions of the fact that because TCU played so bad last year, they're going to be bad this year. I'm high on TCU. And you have TCU traveling to Stanford to come play you. You have inexperienced core, running back room on there. You have to run on TCU or you're not going to win. They're one of those teams like that. You don't have the running back room. TCU beats you at home. I'm sorry. That's how you start the season. Then you go up at home hosting Cal Poly. Yeah, you're going to beat them easily. Then you get the bye week. You come out of the bye week at Syracuse. This is where, again, just like Cal, which was in part one, cross-country travel, going from the West Coast to the East Coast. It does matter, and it does hurt teams. Because that travel, I've lived in Vegas for 40 years. I've bet enough games on there and made a lot of money on NFL games on West Coast teams going east and East Coast teams going west. It throws off your rhythm, and that affects you during the game. It's that little bit of an edge. And the fact is, Syracuse is going to be a good team this year. But, decent team this year. But, foreshadowing. But, you're traveling east. And so you're going to lose to Syracuse. Then you stay on the road a second consecutive week to go to Clemson. You saw part one. I don't need to go about this. You have the travel disadvantage, plus Clemson is just going to beat the brakes off of you. I'm sorry. You're going to welcome to the ACC moment. He's going to beat you. Now you're home the following week against Virginia Tech. This is where the travel situation helps you, because now schools from the east travel west. They're going to be lying down. They're not going to be used to it. Virginia Tech's had a little bit of an issue going into this game. I think a little bit of injury issues. That'll come up there, but I'm picking you to beat Virginia Tech at home. Now you're on the road at Notre Dame. Look how bad of a mismatch is this? You lost by 33 at home last year. I don't think it's going to be any less because now you got to travel to South Bend. They're going to beat the brakes off of you, so you're losing to Notre Dame. Then you're at home against SMU. I just talked about this game. You're going to beat SMU. There's a win. Then you stay at home against Wake Forest the following week. Well, Wake Forest, again, cross-country travel benefits you. Wake, not exactly a great team. Traveling cross-country screws things up. You're going to beat Wake Forest. Then you're on the road. You head east to NC State, a far better team than you are, and this time cross-country travel hurts you. You're going to lose to NC State. It's just, I'm sorry, just the way it's going to go. Then you get a bye week. You come out of the bye week at home against Louisville. You've had a week to prepare for Louisville. You have the travel advantage working for you. You have a bye week the week before. But the talent gap is too damn big. I'm sorry, even though you're at home, Louisville beats you. Then you're on the road at Cal. Cal beat you by 12 at home last year. Cal has your number. They have better talent than you do. If you saw part one, you already saw the result in this video. Cal beats you. And finally, you're on the road at San Jose State to finish the year. A non-con to finish the season at San Jose State. A little bit unique scheduling how this went, how it happened here. But on the road at San Jose State, I looked at this and I looked at the rosters going like, this is pretty much, it's kind of even. But even though Stanford's bad, because San Jose State had all that turnover, because their head coach left, and they have a lot of flux, and they don't have much depth, even though you don't have much depth either, but your head coach is intact, the scheme is intact, I'm giving you the edge. You're going to beat San Jose State. So Stanford finished the season 5-7. Now we go on to the last one of this three-parter here. We're talking about the Syracuse Orangemen. Oh boy. Vegas has your win total at 7.5. Well, the main reason is you miss a ton of the good teams. I mean, no Clemson, no Florida State, no North Carolina. I'll get into the schedule. Schedule works to your advantage this year. Last season, you were 6-7, technically a losing year. Lost to South Florida. Got blown out by South Florida in the Boca Raton Bowl. Fran Brown comes in, the former defensive back coach at Georgia. First ever head coaching job. He's going to take over and start as the job. I mean, new era, new schemes, offense indecently, total new things, so there's a complete learning curve. But the fact is, Fran Brown went into the portal, and man, he struck gold. I couldn't find a starting quarterback. You got Kyle McCord, formerly of Ohio State. I mean, hello. You want to help start you off on the right foot? You got Kyle McCord coming in. I mean, so that helps out the wide receiver. You got a solid quarterback. LeQuint Allen, is back. Had over 1,000 yards rushing last season, so he's back actually in there and lead a solid running back room. The wide receiver room is good. So is the offensive line room. They should be a pretty good offense right now, but as it's going to take time throughout the year to get used to this stuff. Now, defensively is going through a transition because your new coach, new schemes. It's going to be a work in progress. We all know that. But you're not going to misinterpret or think this Syracuse defense is a Georgia defense. There's nowhere near the talent level, not even close. The defensive line has something to be desired. I'm sorry, and they really have to improve. I mean, there's a lot of players that came in the portal. Fran Brown did a lot of roster turnover, but not as bad as Coach Prime of Colorado's done, but, still beside the point. He did a lot of turnover to help out this roster. The defensive line got to improve. It's not the weakest in the thing here. The linebacker room is the strength of this defense. Solid defense, got some guys who can potentially be playmakers who can make some things happen. The defensive backs are very athletic. He brought in a lot of players in the portal, to help out with athleticism, be more mobile with speed, but they have almost no experience. It's going to be a very inexperienced secondary with a defensive line that has to improve, may not have the pass rush to help the secondary out. Oh boy, going to be some issues. So let's talk about the Syracuse Orangemen. They start off against the Ohio Bobcats. Steven, I'm sorry. This is a mismatch. Even though your team's solid, but you're traveling to New York to play Syracuse, and even with this, they have Kyle McCord against that defense of yours. Ugh, I'm sorry. Ohio's going to lose to Syracuse. Georgia Tech at home against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, if you saw part 2 of the schedule predictions, you know how this game goes down. I'm picking you to beat Georgia Tech. Then you get a bye. 2 games in, you get a bye. And then you play 4 games here. You're home against Stanford. Well, we just did Stanford. So you beat Stanford. Then you're at home against Holy Cross. This is a good tune-up game. Actually, a little bit spot here. This kind of helps out the way a little bit in the season. You play Holy Cross, get a little bit of the kinks worked out, and you're going to win there. Then you're on the road at UNLV. I lived in Vegas. I love UNLV, but there's even with the fact of the inexperience, there's a talent disadvantage here. And even though you're on the road traveling to Vegas, you're going to beat UNLV. Then you're on the road at NC State. Now, this game, I was debating on this one, to be honest with you, because it's like, okay, the development with NC State scheme, but the fact is it was like, and I had a little bit of an edge toward NC State, and then the game is in North Carolina, so I'm giving the edge to NC State. You're going to lose to North Carolina State. Then you get your bye. You finish your season with 6 consecutive games. This is where the problem is, because you played NC State, you got the bye, you're on the road at Pitt. If you saw part 3 of the predictions here, remember you're going to lose to Pitt. You're home against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a better team than you are. You lost by 28 on the road last year. 28. This is going to be a very tough game for you. It's going to be a very difficult environment. You're at home, and it won't be a 28-point margin, but you're still going to lose to Virginia Tech. You're on the road at Boston College the following week. If you watch part 1 of the videos, you already know how this goes. You lost to Boston College. Then you're on the road at Cal, cross-country travel against Cal. That's going to hurt you. Saw part 1. You also saw this. You're losing to Cal. And then home against UConn. Your last of your non-cons comes in. Timing is everything. At this point in the season, you're 5-5. You want to get bowl eligible. And Jim Mora's team has nowhere near the depth that Syracuse does. You're going to beat UConn. You're now bowl eligible. The final game of the season at home against Miami. You just don't have the talent Miami has. I'm sorry, you don't. Maybe in time you will, but now you don't. So you're going to lose to Miami to finish the season at 6-6. So tell me, everybody, well, how did I do on these? Tell me what the predictions are, what you think here. We're starting off with the on there. What do you think about all of this down in the comments? So first off, thanks everybody for watching the video. If you haven't done it already, do me a favor, smash the like button, hit the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. The video be seen by more people. Comment on the video. I have SMU going 6-6, Stanford going 5-7, and Syracuse going 6-6. How good am I with my predictions? Let me know about these down in the comments. Share the video if you want to. If you haven't done it already, all right, well, subscribe. Thank you so much for doing so. But if you haven't yet, check out some other videos I've done. And if you like them, subscribe to the channel. You know, we're on the way to just past 600, on the way to 1,000 subscribers. Baby steps on the way to something better. So thanks everybody for watching the video. Hope everybody's having a great day. Part 5, the final one, which is Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest, plus ranking the ACC, all the schools. We're going to do bottom to top, and then I'm going to predict the ACC championship game. That's going to be the next video. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody's having a great day. Part 5 to finish the ACC later on today. Be safe out there, and please be good to each other.